My name is Alexander Fruchter, president, founder of Closed Sessions, former editor-in-chief of RubyHornet.com, DJ RTC, IU alumni, Hoosier for life. This is how I make my mark.
All right, first thing, what sparked your interest into hip-hop? You know, like what age did you first fall in love with it? First memories.
Okay. So my first like experiences with hip hop is just from watching The Box and going to friends' houses and just hearing it on the street and like remembering Dr. Dre and Snoop and that whole movement coming up in Notorious B.I.G. That happened when I was in 6th, 7th grade and really starting to think for myself and being able to go into music stores and buy music. But I liked all kinds of music. I liked rock. I mean, I remember watching the MTV Top 20 Countdown with Daisy Fuentes, and it was kind of a passing thing. As I got to high school, I got more involved with digging for records, searching for music that I could identify with. And I think when I was in high school, my brother wanted to trade me a CD for My Ill Communication CD by the Beastie Boys. And like as a casual fan, I saw the Sabotage video and liked it, and it was cool, whatever, and I was actually ready to trade it for, I think he had like some rare Oasis bootleg, which I also really liked. But for some reason, I went back and listened to Ill Communication again as like 13-year-old, and looking out the window into the alley behind my parents' apartment and going to school and listening to it in my headphones, something there just really connected to me. And it was like the first thing that I felt kind of I could really relate to. And from that CD, Q-Tip was on it, and I went back and got into A Tribe Called Quest. And then they released an album that Wordsworth was on and Mos Def was on, and then I went into all that, and then I went into all the Rockets. And then like each thing, what was dope about hip hop is like every act that I liked led me to another act. And then at that same time, there was a great Chicago movement happening right in Hyde Park with WHBK and Pugs Adams and Typical Cats and Taiwan Davis, who worked at the record store right down the street from where I grew up. And I would go to Dr. Wax just every Saturday and Sunday and just spend hours there talking to them. And they would show me the new music, and I would discover this wealth of dope indie hip hop that I didn't just relate to from a sense of like I liked the music and stuff, but I could relate to because people in my actual neighborhood were making the music. And that's kind of where I got deeper into it in the history and the actual culture. When I found out, I think that's what made me see hip hop was a living, breathing culture rather than just music videos on The Box and on MTV.
What was the, you mentioned digging, you started getting into digging in high school and Dr. Wax. What was the first piece you remember picking up there?
Well, that's when I was digging in high school at Dr. Wax, it was just for CDs. But yeah, when I got turntables and digging for stuff, the first piece of wax that I bought, I'm trying to think I remember the day I bought turntables and I went to Dr. Wax and also Dave's Records up north. But I went there, and it was so cool because for so long I had been in the CD side of Dr. Wax and trying to find rare stuff. They also used to have a notebook of like mixtapes that they couldn't legally sell, but if you just like ordered the one out the book, you just had to know it was there. But the first piece of wax that I bought, I remember getting this Blackalicious record. I forgot the name of it. I bought a rare Beastie Boys Breaks vinyl, and Miss Fat Booty was one of the first pieces of vinyl that I bought, and then I don't remember, it was just on from there, and now I own like hundreds. But yeah, when I started DJing, there was no Serato, so you had to have it. And I was so excited because collecting records was like collecting baseball cards or something. You know, if you found a piece of vinyl, you had to almost get it, right then. There was no guarantee that it would be at the record store the next time you came back. But yeah.
So you talked about your DJing, you touched on it a little bit. What early influence, or what even influenced you to buy turntables? I know you talked about the hip hop culture that was going on in Hyde Park, but big difference between just being around it and taking it all in as a spectator, but then wanted to take that jump to be an actual part of it and a contributor to it. And you chose DJing as your first step. So what drove that?
I was always really fascinated with taking a sound and then making something new out of it. And before I had turntables, I would sit with my CDs and I would like press play on a CD just to get like a word, and then I'd make these pause tapes, so I'd be recording CD to tape, and I would have these like 1 or 2 minute little songs I would make out of other people's records. And when I first got turntables, I really did just want to be a bedroom DJ. But what pushed it over the edge between my junior and senior year of college at Indiana, I was home for my brother's wedding, and my parents had saved up, and they were going to get me a used car so that I could finally like have one to drive around Bloomington. And if you live by campus, it's great, but like the girls I was dating and all that, it was really hard without a car. So they said, cool, we'll get you a car for your senior year. I did really well, and I was actually going to go to the car dealership with my dad, and I was just waiting for him to be ready, and I was flipping through, and I saw on MTV they were playing a clip of the movie Scratch with in this scene DJ Z-Trip is in there, and he's demonstrating how to mix. And I just said to my dad, I got off the couch and I said, hey, what if instead of this car you buy me turntables and a mixer? It's probably even going to be cheaper. And they said, you know what, we have the money, that's fine, but you begged for a car for the last 3 years. You're not gonna get one if we get you turntables. You'll have to walk everywhere. I said, fine, and I got the tables and I walked everywhere, and that like decision changed my life. I wouldn't even be talking to you if I had got that car and didn't jump into DJing. And I just wanted to be creative, in some way, and now that seemed like the best one that fit me.
All right, so we can fast forward a little bit then and get into Ruby Hornet. What made Ruby Hornet different, you think, from any other blog? What made it stand out to you? What was your vision going into it?
Yeah, well, going into Ruby Hornet, I was coming off. I used to write for a site called SoundSlam.com, which was actually formed while we were at IU with my buddy Nick, DJ Metronome. So we did that, and that was before blogs. So this was in a time when there were just websites, and we did a lot of features. With Ruby Hornet, what we really strived to do was really have that focus on original content and to be active participants in the scene. We never wanted to be the press coming to cover an event. It was like, we live and breathe in this community. A lot of my friends just were the MCs, or were the producers, or were the fellow DJs, me being a DJ. So that was our kind of angle. Instead of covering it from like coming into the scene, it was like, this is the scene, we're gonna cover it from the inside looking out. And we placed a high emphasis on the underdogs, local people, and putting on events and outlets. And that led to doing monthly parties, that led to doing records, that led to a lot of things, one of them being closed sessions. But the very start was like, we're gonna look at it from the inside out.
Do you remember any of the local Bloomington acts that were part of the culture down there that you guys were covering?
Yeah, when we were doing SoundSlam, oddly enough, we were covering big hip hop artists. Man, I've interviewed like everybody releasing music from 2004 to 2005. So we weren't. That was the other thing. SoundSlam didn't have that like in the scene aspect. It was more so trying to be a mainstream site. But when I was at IU, I was part of this thing called Hip Hop Congress, which I started that chapter down there. And we would do local MC battles, food drives, we would screen movies. We later would screen Scratch. I brought Upski, William Wimsat to campus. We brought, we did like a hip hop awareness week. The local artist that we worked with was, there was a big crew called Holistic, which I don't know what those guys do now, but they were like running things. This cat, Half Blown, He was like trying to do things big. I'm trying to think. Metronome. Me and Metronome really had it on lock. But every year we do this big MC battle where the prize would be like $500. And every year this cat from New York City, who was friends with one of my friends that was also from New York that went to IU, every year he would come down and compete and stay for a couple days and like kill everybody. And it was amazing. And that dude ended up being Iron Solomon. So like it was just like destroying everyone.
Wow.